wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. I'm attorney Gavin Richard. I grew up here in New Orleans, so I know how important family, friends, and community are to us. And helping others has been a lifelong passion of mine. If you've been injured in an accident, you may be out of work and faced with large medical bills. You'll need someone to fight the insurance companies so that you can get on with your life. Give me a call at 504-799-2288, and I'll be with you all the way. The law offices of Gavin M. Richard, going the distance so that justice may be served. Wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. If you're here with me, this is the place to be on channel gboot2786. It's a special edition. This is September 26, 2021. We have breaking news. Of course, a few hours ago, earlier this afternoon, it was reported that R&B legend singer R. Kelly was convicted on all 9 counts of, one count was a RICO statute. The other were under the violation of the Mann Act, 9 counts of it. R. Kelly convicted of running a mafia-style sex crime scheme. This is what the way that Pilar Melendez, the national reporter for the Daily Beast, reported this. And I showed you this before, these articles from the Daily Beast. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I have a special guest that is coming on with us today. Actually, I am supposed to have 2. But we're joined on a Monday night. Usually see him on Thursdays. Author extraordinaire, Brother Sean James. Sean, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Gavin?
I'm doing fine. We're going to be talking about this for an hour. And we're going to, of course, salute to Brother Sean for joining us tonight on tonight's show. I want you all to please, if you have not, buy some of Sean's books, including Revenge of the Cyber Goddess and John Haynes Taking Care of Business, which is available on Amazon. He's the author of over 75 books, and in particular, I love his book, The Man Crisis. That tells a lot of how we're going in this country. And Sean is also writing The Woman Crisis, which is supposed to come out sometime next year. So be on the lookout for those. In the meantime, while we bring Sean back, we have to pay some dues. I want everyone, if you have not, to please check out our website, nonniescreoleblends.com, nonniescreoleblends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonnies goes great with every dish. The other thing, too, I want you to check out some videos, music, including my latest single, Video Soul. Also, I need you to check out Gotta Get On Up, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, and Apple. As, of course, before we get on down, we got to get on up. So that is my latest single. So why don't we go ahead and get started, ladies and gentlemen. And I will, give me 1 second. Get started. I'm going to bring Sean back in. But you guys tune in, buy the single, Got to Get On Up.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. You gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body. Look out, and move your body. Cause the beat is really moving. Start to feel your body move. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop, I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause like the beat is really grooving. Start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Get on up. Are you ready? Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and get your on the dance 5 and 6 and 7 8. This jam we shake. We're gonna slide and step on the beat on the dance floor. Get on and move your body. Feel your body. Shake something, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Got to get on up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel G-Boot 2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're blessed and doing safe. We have our special guest, ladies and gentlemen. We have Brother Sean James in the building. Sean, again, thank you for joining me. And we also have our special guest. He's coming in. You may not like this one, honey. I'm just talking to someone else who, Harvey Superboy. Harvey, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for coming in on short notice. I know, Harvey, they had some people, I won't name, but some people in our chat last time we were on the Coles View earlier, and some people I thought we'll address that in a little bit, but let me get started. Of course, the news, gentleman, Sean, Harvey, you know Sean, of course.
Yeah, you doing, Sean?
I'm good, Harvey. How are you?
I'm fine.
We know that R. Kelly was found guilty on all 9 counts. He was convicted under the Mann Act, which I'll go into some history in a little bit. But this is, I won't guess to get into it. He's facing, the sentencing conviction came down this afternoon. He's facing life in prison, essentially, under these charges. You're talking about him being 50, R. Kelly, who's 54 years old. If anything, if they give him even 20 years, 30, even 20 years, he'll be still an old man by the time he would get out of prison. So uh, a lot of people have some reaction to it. I've seen a lot of people happy, thinking that this is great for the victims. He a man. When you read the article, let me put up the article like this. This is what it says here, and I showed you this. This is R. Kelly convicted of running mafia-style sex crime scheme. Now, I want you to keep this in mind with this title, Mafia-Style Sex Crime. This is written by Pilar Melendez. And I'm just looking at this. I've actually covered, I believe, Miss Melendez before because she wrote stuff even in the Bill Cosby case, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote here, R. Kelly unhinged lawyer compares him to Mike Pence. R. Kelly convicted of sex crimes. It only took 30 years. R. Kelly accusers are thankful and still scared. I can go, she basically has been covering the trial the whole time. And, articles like the Daily Beast, let me just pull up, and I hate to compare, two different cases. Bill Cosby and R. Kelly are two different things, but there are things that are similar. Now look at this. Yes, I was absolutely correct. Pilar Melendez wrote this same article on Bill Cosby. And look at the title. Bill Cosby plays victim again in fight against sexual assault lawsuit. Weeks after being freed from prison, an old lawsuit was revived, and his attorneys were claiming mob justice was coming for him. And she writes, less than 2 months after Bill Cosby walked out of a Pennsylvania prison after a sexual assault conviction was shockingly overturned, the disgraced comedian's lawyers were back in court. Now let me explain this. You say shockingly, that term shockingly overturned, right? That creates an emotion when you read that. If you were someone that is trained in the legal field, lawyers and judges that I have spoken with, people like Judge Joe Brown, like Judge Mathis, myself, some other lawyers who have spoken about it, this was not a shock why that conviction was overturned. But the way that this reporter writes this, and I'm getting to my point, and the way the reporter writes this, she makes it seem like it was a shock and it should never have happened, and the victims are, how dare this happen to this? We are in a different time now, gentlemen, where there's an accusation or multiple accusations. All it takes is that, and you can be convicted on. As it relates to R. Kelly, and when I look at these articles now, I have to preface my comments, and this is even a dangerous thing too, Sean, how we have to preference our comments because we don't want to come off as a rape apologist. Do you think so? What do you think, first and foremost, of articles like this? And I know you probably haven't read it. This may be your first time. Harvey, I think I showed this to you guys earlier when I was on the Cole show. But what do you think of, first off, the verdict and the media with all this going on? And I'll start with you, Sean.
Well, in the case of the article, that's not journalism. I mean, that whole headline right there is meant to try to stimulate people's emotions. It is not meant to present the facts to people. It is not an objective piece of journalism. It is what we call tabloid journalism, which is meant to present somebody's opinions regarding a case or a story, not present us with the facts so that we can make our own observations and conclusions. And it's this type of yellow type journalism that winds up going out here and prejudicing the public and making it where they come into a case completely biased. I really don't like this kind of journalism because in some ways it can be used, especially against Black men, to try to demonize them, like I believe was done in the case of R. Kelly. And I believe it can also be used to prejudice a jury. Now, according to our Constitution, a person is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but that's going to be a hard precedent these days due to the way our media has presented a lot of cases. Now, in the case of R. Kelly, I don't know if he did get a fair trial because there was that hit piece called Surviving R. Kelly that was supposedly a documentary, but came across as propaganda. And these charges, really, as I see it, they were really reaching as I saw it. I mean, to say he was running a quote unquote mafia style type
Right.
organization,
That's
I
the thing
mean,
that got me.
that makes no sense to me. I mean, how can organized crime, when they run things, they practically buy off all the politicians and the police officers. And R. Kelly is a guy who was an entertainer with a limited education. So how can he be running a mafia style organization? And from what I read in the case, it was really reaching because they were going back as far as 1994 all the way up to I think about 2018 looking.
Actually goes further. It's further back than that, Sean. If you,
Yeah.
I want to just let me pull this up. There's no ad block here. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish your point because I know we're pressed for time.
Yeah.
But look at this. This is count 5. Harvey, you can see this.
Yes.
Okay, this was the grand jury indictment. Now you see here they go around in 1998. This is in Illinois. So this is not the New York violation. This is the Illinois violation. They go from 1998 to 1999. In this incident, saying R. Kelly defendant did knowingly employ, use, persuade, induce, entice, coerce, namely minor one, to engage in sexually explicit conduct. I don't want to push this one because this is not the one we're talking about. But some of these accusations go back to, on this one, I'm just looking at, if you look at count 5, it says from in around June 1991 until in or around January of 2014, Kelly and one or more of the Kelly businesses employed defendant Darrell McDavid, a business manager. McDavid was principal at Winkler and McDavid, located in Oak Park, Illinois. Now, Harvey, you may be familiar where Oak Park, Illinois is.
I have family living in Oak Park.
Okay. They're saying here, as his manager, McDavid was involved in providing services to Kelly, which services were in part intended to protect his image, reputation, and in the face of actual potential criminal accusation. But let me get out of this because I'm looking at the wrong thing. But to Sean, I want to get back to you, and then I'm going to get to Harvey. Sean, the accusations even going back to Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is deceased.
Yeah, that's just really, that's where it was really reaching to me. And it didn't look like they had a cohesive argument based on the charges they were presenting. And based on the evidence they were presenting, it did not look like it was a cohesive case. It looks like it was just slapped together out of desperation. And the desperation just showed from everything that I saw as related to the allegations against this man. And I really do not believe he got a fair trial. Now, I am no apologist for R. Kelly. I mean, he did participate in some very deviant behavior sexually, but he is entitled to a day in court, and he is entitled to get supposedly a speedy and fair trial. And I don't think he got that based on the way the media presented his case and the way the media has been going after him. Because the way it looks like to me, it's like they couldn't get Bill Cosby, so now they want to use R. Kelly as the new guy that they want to get because they just want to get some black man and crucify him in the media.
And this guy, Michael Arsenal, I think I've talked about him before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was him from last week. He was the one that did the article about Adele. Am I right? Is that him? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote this. He's on R. Kelly. And this is my first time just looking at this. But Harvey, I mean, looking at this, you're up in Chicago. You've done videos about R. Kelly and what is alleged to have happened. And to be clear for those, R. Kelly, and I got to preface this, but we have emotional people. I just have to say, R. Kelly was not today convicted of a rape charge or a molestation charge. What he's convicted for was under the Mann Act, and under RICO, he had 8 counts under the Mann Act, 1 count under RICO. They're saying that he ran a criminal enterprise. like which is what RICO was done. It was done to create it to go after the mafia. It was not created, in my opinion, to go after musicians who got groupies. Now, that's not to say that he didn't engage, possibly did not engage in some assault with minors and so forth. But as the government, and I'm telling you as a lawyer, you have to prove all of this beyond a reasonable doubt. And you have to prove by the letter of the law. People say sex trafficking because they're saying he flew girl. People ought to read the transcripts that have come out. Harvey, you go ahead and give your take.
I would agree with what Sean said. I think a lot of people have done this. They used a hit piece to make judgment, and it's prejudiced a lot of people. Because if you go online, and I'm reading a lot of the comments, they say, "Yeah, he's a predator. He did this and did that." If you notice, they haven't talked to the people within the Chicagoland area. Those of us who in the '90s knew of this case or the alleged things that he's done. They went back to 19. If you notice the dates, they went back 1998, then all the way to 91. If they knew he was such a threat in 1991, why didn't they stop him then? You see, you have to use logic sometimes. That hit piece, and I've been calling it the hit piece from day one, prejudiced a lot of people against him. And we have a lot of emotional people. People don't use logic. I'm not defending some of the questionable things that R. Kelly did. What he did was what a lot of entertainers do. They go out, they get groups, they got fans, and they engage in behaviors that you and I, know better not to engage in. But the thing is, they had an opportunity to get R. Kelly in 2008, and they didn't. And they waited until it was this thing where, like, every week they're going after a new black man. But R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Chris Brown, Nate Parker, Tiger Woods, whomever, it's like every month they got a new black man they go after. And they go after them using sex. Because that's everybody's weakness is sex. And the thing is that R. Kelly had a lot of sycophants around him. If you thought that this man was doing inappropriate things, you don't sit on your ass nearly 20 or 30 years and say, oh, by the by, I saw this. And to use a dead woman to convict him, that's low. Aaliyah's been dead 20 years, and in 20 years, I don't hear anybody talk about, we got to honor Aaliyah, we need to play her music, we need to do biopics. We did a cheap biopic of Wendy Williams, what added to a lot of this R. Kelly drama, people forget. Then the Huffington Post interview, which that lady did, made him sympathetic. But once he went on the Saturday Night Live with Lady Gaga, I think that's when everybody said, okay, it's time for him to go. We got to get rid of him. And everybody turned on him because the thing is, in the 90s, we heard the rumors. They knew about Aaliyah, or at least they knew other rumors about Aaliyah, but they still worked with the man. And as soon as this hit piece come out, now he's a joke. He's the biggest villain on the planet. If we're going to have this villain from R. Kelly, a lot of our teachers, a lot of our clergy, and a lot of these other celebrities, isn't that politician Matt Gaetz got busted, turned evidence on him messing with underage girls. The media doesn't talk about it as a non-story, but R. Kelly is the big bad of the world. And we as a community need to understand our part in playing this. Your Gayle Kings and they sat back and made jokes, your Kenan Thompson and stuff. This is nothing to laugh at. This is extremely dangerous what we're doing because any black man, famous or not, young or old, can be vulnerable for somebody to say, you did something to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you look further in this article, he writes here, if not for the enduring bravery of Kelly's accusers, along with producers such as Dream Hampton and others who worked on the searing and industry-shifting docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, I'm not convinced anything at all would have happened. Now, this is the problem right here. A documentary, I mean, people can document what they want. People have a right to make the films that they want. But the court of public opinion should not and does not usurp ever the court of law and what the facts and evidence is. Now, yes, you can do testimony. You can have the testimony of other of victims and so forth, alleged victims that come forward. They can come give their testimony, and if a jury believes their stories, that's one thing. However, the question we have to ask ourselves is, was enough doubt raised? Did they poke holes in their story? I've heard, if you look at the mainstream media, they made it sound like there was damning testimony. When I had brother Dennis Byron, who was on, who is an honest reporter, seems to be an honest man with Hip Hop Inquirer, he painted a completely different picture. They left out certain things. They say that the lawyer was trying to compare R. Kelly. I saw an article from BuzzFeed. They compare R. Kelly. His lawyer compares him to Martin Luther King Jr. and uh, Mike Pence, when that wasn't what the actual quote was saying. And I had Mr. Byron come on. So we got to realize and be careful with mainstream media now, because anything you say, they will flip and use against you and try and paint a completely different picture. But no, I'm not defending a rapist or anything of that nature. We're defending the Constitution. That's what Harvey, Sean, and I are talking about here. You have a right, regardless if you're accused of petty theft. I said this last night. Whether you're accused of petty theft or whether you're accused of terrorism, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And that procedure must be fair and impartial. When we look at the Mann Act, the Mann Act was passed in and of itself. It's named after Illinois Congressman James Mann back in 1910. That was done to get rid of Jack Johnson. That's why that law was passed. And they've tried in recent years to amend it. I believe some of it has been amended, but honestly, in truthfulness, it's caused a problem. Now, I have a question. Why haven't our Congressional Black Caucus members done anything to repeal that law?
You want me to answer it real quick?
Go ahead.
Bunch of handkerchief heads and coons. They're not going to go against their white masters. Let's call it what it is. I mean, that may be harsh, but you ask yourself, why don't they speak up for us? I don't even think we need a black caucus, because they really don't speak to our issues. They didn't speak to our issues when Obama was in office, and they not speaking to our issues now. They talk about police reform and stuff, but what about the laws that we are on the books that we can get reform? In our community, we don't push for black lawyers. We need more black lawyers. We need to call out those in our community who have self-destructive behaviors, because these parents need to be put on trial as well. If you took your daughter to a grown-ass man, knowing that there's been rumors for years, and then now you want to get on stage and do the crocodile tears, you're full of crap.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Harvey on that. That our Congressional Black Caucus is not serving us, and it's not looking out for us, because they could have gotten this law repealed years ago, but they just sit there and they're just ineffective as related to anything. I mean, they're a bunch of bootlicks just looking to pander to their white slave masters, and they're looking to get brownie points with their white slave masters. I mean, I don't even think many of them are Black Americans anymore, and that's another scary part of these Congressional Black Caucus. I mean, this is a law that they should have gone out here and repealed. And I noticed how the George Floyd bill, what happened to that? That's another critical question we need to ask.
Amen, Brother Sean. I was saying the same thing. Like I told you guys last year, I said the only reason why people came out of march because they wanted to get out of the house because of COVID. Because when it came to the year anniversary of George Floyd's murder, it was crickets. The Congressional Black Caucus is just there in name. And my thing is, we got to call out the black media as well. Because you have people like Joyanne Reed and them sit on here, Tiffany Cross, talk about R. Kelly in their shows. But I never hear them talking about, well, Bob Dylan was accused of having sex with an underage girl, or Mick Jagger, or these other people, or even back when Ted Nugent was saying the most vile racist things, not about President Obama, but black people in general. And I know it just can't be me, you, Sean, Nicole, and other people putting out this information. Right. I mean, we walk around with many computers in our pockets. All you gotta do is go to Google X Jeeves you know, and you can find all kinds of information. Now the thing is, can you decipher between BS and truth? That's the thing.
Right, and I think again, computer robots pointed out Rob Lowe, like he looks like Rob Lowe. He videotaped having sex with under a girl in the 80s, yet he didn't get tried or convicted in the court of
Oh,
public.
I remember that.
Yeah, he did. I remember. I mean, look, there are about a dozen of other cases we could go to where white men did not get convicted, obviously, and did even far worse things or were accused of doing similar things of R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or anyone else, even Michael Jackson. I mean, to this day, they still try to go after Michael Jackson, and Michael is dead. Michael's been dead for 11 years, and you had those two punks that lied and came up there saying Michael molested them when it came out. And you saw me have Tom Mesereau on the show, Harvey. He said that his best witness was James, not Safe Chuck, excuse me. No, it was Wade Robeson.
Mm-hmm. But also, we got to point out, Galvin and Sean, is that our own people are aiding in this self-destructive behavior. My thing is, you cool with the dude in the neighborhood mess with your underage daughter and stuff. But when it gets to a black celebrity, we go all ham and like, oh man, the outrage. My thing is this: if we're consistent for the no names, we need to be consistent with the larger names. Mm-hmm. My thing is this: I am not condoning any adult mess with any child under the age of 18. But my thing is, you had a chance to get him in 08. You waited until y'all figure we can't get the dude in the White House, so we're gonna have a new nigga of the month. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. Oh, we can go back and go after this guy. Because once you get accused of any sex crime, whether you did it or not, you vulnerable. And you know what's going to happen years down the line. Somebody's going to do some investigative reporting. They're going to ask the most important question that you and not others have asked. And they're going to say, he didn't get a fair trial. And it's about your hearsay. And it's going to, and you know, they talk about counsel culture. It's funny how they cool with counseling us. But when you turn that back on them, oh my gosh, you're judging me based off an allegation. You need to get both sides of the story. You just don't understand, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm looking at this. And another thing, too, I still can't get how if someone walked in on R. Kelly having sex with Aaliyah, and this is what the testimony was at the trial and even during the documentary, how was it, or how could this person live with themselves and they didn't intervene at that very moment? I have a problem with that. I have a problem with, I'm looking even here on this article. Let me put it back up. One former police officer, who testified, said that he never saw Kelly with underage girls and then proceeded to directly contradicting himself, referring to them as little friends. So when you look at articles like this, I mean, and I'm going to answer some questions, but there's a reason why when I had Mr. Byron come on, people have a distrust in the mainstream media. Again, it is not defending, like Harvey said, what R. Kelly is alleged to have done in the past with underage minors. That's horrible. And if he did do something of that nature, and I only say did because I wasn't there, most of the stuff that went on when you talk about marrying Aaliyah, Harvey, I was 8 years old when that broke out. MTV reported that in the news.
I was a junior in high school.
I
never forget that morning. I was listening to Tom Joyner, and it was breaking news because they said it's reported out of Chicago that R. Kelly is married to Aaliyah. Age ain't nothing but a number at your best, and they was making jokes. And my mother, my mom had just dropped my dad off, so me and my siblings we getting ready for school, and me and my brother like, damn, these dudes are taking all the girls away from us. And my mother said, these fast ass girls do not mess with boys in their own age group. Then they be yelling rape, or they get pregnant, try to push off a baby on one of these boys. And all day at school, that's what everybody was talking about. because R. Kelly hung around on the west side, on the south side from where he's from. And I've said this before in my videos. You probably heard him in his song say, I want to thank George Daniels. He had a music room where he sell tapes and stuff. He would come sign stuff. Girls would literally cut school.
Mm-hmm.
They would cut school, change clothes, cut school, and go up there on Roosevelt Road. Oh, R. Kelly, R. Kelly. And a lot of times he had his boys around him. And maybe every now and then you see him pick up or talk to a young woman. Usually they look of age. Now, what he does when we're not around, I can't say. But now they have this revisionist history to make it like he was a predator. He lived in Chicago. Chicago and New York and California is like the big three media markets. Okay. You can't take a fart in Chicago as a black man and not know it. So, but believe me, as racist as Chicago really is, if they had any inkling this dude was trafficking young girls in, they would have known. So
and let me be clear, when we're talking about bad act trafficking, the law states that under you people who say that, because I had someone that said, well, he was convicted of sex trafficking. You still, under the Mann Act, have to go by what the letter of the law is in the statute. And even with the RICO statute, you're saying that he ran a criminal, have to still say he ran a criminal enterprise. And again, the question is, do you think he, R. Kelly didn't have the intelligence to me to run an empire, a criminal empire like the mafia. Yeah, I think if that's the case, and you have to look at these other rock and roll stars who had other women around them. Can they be charged with stuff like that? That's the question I asked. I know Ray Dawn Chon, I mentioned this to you, Harvey. She mentioned she was sleeping around with Mick. She slept around with Mick Jagger.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mackenzie Phillips even said she had sex with Mick Jagger. Her own dad sent it to him.
Can we go in their past? Like, can we go in the past now for all of these rock and roll stars? That's the question I have. And if people think that's me being a rape apologist, then something is wrong with you. Because I didn't say anything about, first thing I said was, I am not condoning what he's accused of. But I'm about the truth. I'm about facts. I'm about the Constitution. I'm about fairness. If you say I did something, the government still has to prove that. I can tell you flat out right now, if you're talking about an emotional standpoint, if I believe or saw any person do anything to my loved one, to my daughter, if I was Aaliyah's father is deceased, there's no question I would be the one doing this broadcast, or likely not from behind bars, because I'd be in prison for the rest of my life for killing R. Kelly. If he had met, it was my daughter, yeah. But sitting here listening to it and listening to the testimonies, because people got the transcripts. You can look at the transcripts and hear that there was some questions. There was questions about these testimonies. There are holes that were in it. Some stuff rang and some stuff didn't ring. So it is not me being a rape apologist. It is not me being necessarily a supporter of R. Kelly, because honestly, I've never bought an R. Kelly album. I've listened to his music when it's come on the radio. I'm not going to lie to you, I danced. Step in the Name of Love and all of the songs he had back in 2003. I remember when he did Gigolo with Nick Cannon. And then Nick Cannon, you did music with him. You knew all of this stuff about him. And then Nick Cannon, when he got the R. Kelly docuseries comes out, he came out and basically recanted his work with him. I'm like, no, don't do that. You made money off the man. You made money doing the work with the man. You laid in bed with him. Now you got to make the bed.
I think that's my issue with us as a community. Your Kiki Palmers, your Nick Cannons, your Jay-Z's, and all of them. They even before this started, even before the trial in 2008, they heard of rumors and they still chose to work with the man. Now all of a sudden he's the most vile thing on the planet. Like I said, none of us are apologizing or condoning adults messing with children if all these things are true. But they went back and prosecuted based off a dead woman who never said, when she was alive, never said that R. Kelly did this to me. I mean, Aaliyah had from 1994 to 2000 to yell that R. Kelly abused me or took advantage of me. But we sit in a society where and I'm gonna tell you what this all really started was the Tiger Woods thing. When they realized if you pile on and you go and get in front of the court of public opinion, you're gonna sway people how they think. And most people are not logical anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think most people, they're acting on emotions right now, especially when we talk this Me Too thing. You do have people who have been victimized. Let's be real. There are people who have been assaulted, raped. I know a fellow attorney who that happened to, and even though I wasn't there, I have reason to believe she was telling the truth, and she knew who this person was that violated her, and I don't believe she said anything or reported it. That does happen, but way our country and laws are set up, and Sean, I want you to jump in, is that you still have a court of law that has procedures that must be followed in order to justify any of this. And shout out to the chat. I know we've had more than this, but we got about 92 people in here. Shout out to everybody. This is we're hot tonight with different people. Computer Robots is in. I'm not Butterfly 70 says I'm not with the Me Too movement. Condemning someone in the court of public opinion is evil. Well, yeah, but the flip side of it is everybody has a right to their opinion. But at what point should the court of public opinion ever supersede the court of law? Sean,
I don't believe it should supersede the court of law. I mean, the court of public opinion it's something very fickle, and it can be manipulated by those in the media, and those in the media can go out here and create narratives to try to persuade people to see a story a certain way. I mean, I remember when I was in college and they had the O.J. Simpson trial going on, they were trying to do everything in their power to demonize O.J. Simpson and make him out to be this black brute and say that he murdered Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman and had literally superhuman strength to kill both of those people. But the evidence that was presented at trial never really matched the arguments they were presenting. And that's why we have our courts to go out here and try these cases, because the courts are supposed to be about the facts and not about the feelings of the people. Because when you try things in the court of public opinion, you're trying to try the case on people's feelings and persuade them to see your opinion. But in a court of law, we have to go based on the details of the facts as related to evidence. And in our Constitution, again, a person is innocent until proven guilty, and it's up to the prosecutors to present those facts. But what I'm seeing these days in this era of Me Too, under this, what I believe the standard is still here, trust and believe, because the Cosby conviction being overturned was supposed to overturn that standard under the court of law, but it seems to be still here, especially as related to heterosexual black men, is they want to try the cases of black men under the standard of trust and believe, and then you go out here and just base things based on feelings. Because when I look at the whole thing talking about R. Kelly running an enterprise, I mean, R. Kelly could not possibly run any sort of racketeering, because one, the man was not very well educated, and two, the man was practically broke. I mean, if you look at his finances, if he was running some sort of racketeering like they allege, I mean, you would think there would be statements to say that he was running some sort of profit. So when I look at the laws that were used, again, they were really reaching, and it really goes against our court and what it's really supposed to be about, which is presenting the facts and proving cases beyond a reasonable doubt.
I agree with Sean, because it lacked common sense. I mean, the man was barely functional and literate. You know what I mean? And if he didn't have his music as a talent, he probably been somewhere on the street somewhere, barely making it. Because, and I'm not being funny, because I know we like to make funny of people who have problems reading and comprehending, But the thing is, like Sean said, if this guy was running a criminal enterprise, his money would be in a better position. He would have his money in different businesses, in different banks. I mean, he would have offshore accounts, all these things. But they making it like, I mean, it's an insult to the people who can think. Because when they start saying, well, if we don't get R. Kelly on the girls, let's say he did something to the boys. Like every time you turn around, he was reaching for something. And they was letting out these leaks and stuff. And I'm like, he's going to jail. And the thing is that we as a people, and I say this again, we as Black folk we're not vocal and say, okay, you know what? If you think you got the guy dead to rights, take that documentary or that hit piece off, because every time somebody watched it, that's how they formulated their opinions. Because if you go online right now, they keep bringing that up. Well, in the documentary, he was doing this to girls. He was doing that. And I'm like, if he's doing all these things for years, where in the hell were the adults? Where were the teachers that normally gets in children's business if they notice the kids acted out? Where's the clergy? Where's law enforcement? Where's the aunts and uncles? Where are all these adults? If they were not paying attention, then they failed these kids. But at the same time, we can't be naive and think that these little girls or these teenage girls were so naive to the world. We know when we went to school, girls very rarely dated boys our age.
Right. Heterosexual Black R. Pete says, I agree with this speaker. Heterosexual Black men are under attack. I'm so damn tired of these Me Too and Alphabet people. Someone wrote earlier that they're pushing the LGBTQ narrative. Yeah, they are doing that. Most of them are they are the ones tied in with a lot of these feminist groups.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. When you see women out there, most of them are queer. They even some of them call themselves queer bending or gender bending. And I witnessed it. I've seen it. If you look at Black Lives Matter, their platform, and Sean has done videos about this. They state right there they want to break up the nuclear family. They've talked, right, Sean?
Yeah, I have made videos about how BLM works together to destroy the Black family. I mean, they had it on their website before they took it off. I had shown everybody that BLM is working towards destroying the Black nuclear family, and their whole agenda is to promote that alphabet agenda. I mean, this has been historical because the alphabet movement and feminists have always worked together, and they've always had a hate for the heterosexual Black man. This is just historical fact. I mean, ever since the days of the 60s, I mean, they do not like heterosexual Black men.
Well, and let me say this too. Olga said the prosecution did not use a lot of women from the documentary due to credibility issues. Well, even if they use a couple of them or one of them, the purpose of that. Remember, they could have had, if you convict someone on 8 counts or 9 counts, even if you had reasonable doubt on 8 of them, if you convicted him on the 1, he could still do time, a lot of time. So and then you had, of course, it was 3 female prosecutors. I think that was sending a message. The judge in the case, someone told me, and I'm not 100% sure, but that the judge was involved with the documentary. I don't know if Harvey, if you know if that's true.
I've heard about it, but I haven't investigated. If it is true, then he definitely need to get a retrial, because the fix was in already. If that's true, and
right.
The thing is that even if they didn't use all the women, that documentary convicted R. Kelly for the public opinion.
Right, guy. I want you to look at this. What you're seeing on screen, this is from PBS. This is from the documentary Ken Burns did on this about the Mann Act. And you see about Jack Johnson's early life. I'm just going to click on it just so you can see. But this was the first from Galveston, Texas. This is the first Black heavyweight champion. And they passed this act to go after Jack Johnson. This was his wife. She didn't even want to testify against him when they tried to get her. And the district attorney, the United States District Attorney, Harry A. Parkin, was not satisfied, began looking for other women who Johnson might have transported across state lines. Now, to be clear, let's look at the Mann Act. So this is the Mann Act as it was written. Now it has changed. But that's James Robert Mann. That's the man who, yeah, that's the man, literally. The Mann Act. He is who the Mann Act is actually based off of. So you read the full text of the Mann Act as it was passed on June 25th, 1910. An act further regulate interstate commerce and foreign commerce by prohibiting the transportation therein for immoral purposes of women and girls and for other purposes. So that the term interstate commerce as used in this act shall include transportation from any state or territory or the District of Columbia, and the term foreign commerce as used in this act shall include transportation from any state or territory of Columbia to any foreign country and from any foreign country to any state or territory or the District of Columbia. That any person who shall knowingly transport or cause to be transported or aid or assist in obtaining transportation for and in transporting in interstate or foreign commerce or in any territory or in the District of Columbia, any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or for any other immoral purpose or with the intent and purpose to induce, entice, or compel such woman or girl to become a prostitute or to give herself up to debauchery. Now, let's stop right here. So you say any woman or girl. It doesn't say any girl. Am I right? So a woman is an adult female. So for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose, who defines what's immoral and what's moral?
And they haven't changed this in years.
They have now. Let me say this, Harvey. Part of it was amended. So I believe this is how it was written in 1910. So let me, in the interest of clarity, let's go to the Mann Act currently as it's written, because I believe it was amended in 1978 and again in 1986 to limit its application to transport for the purpose. But let's look at it. See here. If I can pull it up. Anybody, thought I could pull it up. Shit. Now, I want you to look at this. Hold on a second. Let me stop the screen. I'm going to share this with you. Look at what the title of the Mann Act was. The actual title of it to the right. Other title is called. Can y'all see?
Mm-hmm. Dwight Slade Traffic Act. That was basically what he was doing. They was tired of him driving up down the streets of Chicago with a bunch of white women. And then when he tried to go across state, they said, we get you. That's the way we're going to get you.
Right. And Jack Johnson was arrested twice under this Mann Act. It was generally acknowledged that the arrests were racially motivated. And in 2018, President Donald Trump pardoned Jack Johnson. Okay. So I'm trying to find the amendments to it. But if we read here, they made several amendments under the George W. Bush administration. So it says here, while the Mann Act was meant to combat forced prostitution and have repercussions that extended into consensual sexual activity. Because it lacked specificity, it criminalized many who were not participating in prostitution. It became a way to persecute large numbers of unmarried couples participating in premarital or extramarital activities, especially when it involved crossing state lines, such as the case of Chuck Berry and Jack Johnson. It was also became a form of blackmail by wives who were suspicious of cheating husbands or other women. Now, from what I listened to Judge Joe Brown, he was on infamous Sylvia's broadcast yesterday. He stated that even our current president, Joe Biden, in part played a role with this in regards to how far this law could extend. And he especially was critical of our Congressional Black Caucus because they have done nothing to get rid of this act or change it. Now, while the Mann Act it says here, while the Mann Act has never been repealed, it has been amended and altered since its initial passing. The Mann Act continued essentially unchanged until 1978 amendments that expanded coverage to issues around child pornography and exploitation. Most recently, in 1986, the Mann Act was significantly altered to make the whole act gender neutral and to address the specific ambiguous phrasing that had enabled decades of unjust applications of the act. With the 1986 amendments, the Mann Act outlaws interstate or foreign transport of any person for purposes of any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense. So what they basically did, they took the women out of it and they just basically amended it so that it could protect LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what they did.
But you know what gets me gabbing? That Allison Mack had white women as slaves, was branding them, and they didn't charge her like this.
No, they didn't.
Nope.
Think about that.
Epstein wasn't even charged under this.
Exactly. See, this is why I tell people you have to use logic and you have to use their words back against them. See, what the problem was, R. Kelly didn't have the best defense, number one. Number two, he didn't have the right people around him. Number one, I would never give an interview to Gayle King. That's number one.
Yeah, I thought that was a mistake.
That was a huge mistake.
Because it's in Gayle, if you go back and watch the clip, she was smiling. She loved it.
Of course she did.
And Oprah and Reese Witherspoon was joking about it. And Oprah should be the last one time. She lucky. See, Oprah has been able to deflect people off her because didn't she have issues in her school? But see, it's always going to boil back to the black man. We the great beast of the world, that we can't control our sexual urges. This is why I don't like some of this so-called, I don't call it gangster rap, but idiot rap, because you presented this hyper masculine image of black men that people have used against us. And a lot of these young brothers, even those now who are middle aged, now they get it. I'm like, you guys didn't understand this way back when. That these videos that you was doing, showing all the women in bikinis around one dude shaking their tail, and don't think this is not going to play a factor in how people view us and view our relationships.
Right. Guys, I'll be right back. Y'all keep talking. Hold on a second. Excuse me.
And you know, and the thing is, if you look at it, look how they doing Dr. King. Dr. King been dead, what, 50-something years? They almost the last decade or so, they've been talking about his sex life. What does Dr. King's sex life got to do with what he did to try to better our community? You see what I'm saying? It's like it's everything about the black man is sex, sex, sex.
That's what they want to project onto us. They make us like all we think about is sex all the time when black men are not even thinking about that.
Exactly. We try to live our lives, you know. Like I give you an example. Me and I have more female friends than male friends, and we talk about these things. And she said, "I thought that all guys talk about sex." I said, "We don't think about it. I mean, if you walk past us, you know, in revealing clothes, or if you engage in conversation and sex, of course we're going to go there. But we're not thinking about it like that. I mean, maybe we 12 or 13 years old when the wind blew funny, we thought about it. Once you get older, you realize there's certain things you cannot do or say."
Yep.
And my dad had a conversation with me years ago. He said, "Son, you know, that's somebody's sister, that's somebody's mother." So I never crossed that line. I've seen dudes do it, but some women out here, they want that kind of dude in their lives. And we need to talk about that as well. Because these some of these women were young or young girls. And I need to be careful when I say young girl. When you think of younger, think of somebody 12 years old. But these teenage girls, they knew what they was doing. Like I say, they don't mess with their boys on their own age group. If I can build a time machine, go back and just record some of the incidents and things that I saw in high school, people like, damn, are they really victims?
I mean, I was there and I heard them with their own mouth saying that they wanted the 22-year-old guy, the 23-year-old guy, some of them wanted the 30-year-old guy. And I would see them getting into these guys' Mercedes, see them get into these guys' Jeeps. I mean, they did go for the older guys.
I did see that too. I saw that too. I mean, I knew girls who, and again, I got to keep preferencing it. It doesn't justify the men doing this, but how hard I get angry. You can get angry at it, but these parents should have been even more angry, or should have just put their foot down and said, no. They sometimes allowed their girls, their women, their daughters, to go run out with these grown men. They okayed it because they knew that they could provide for them, give them money, let them borrow their car, take them wine, dine them. It doesn't mean it's right, but that's the type of stuff they did. To what you're saying, Sean. I mean, I knew girls as teenagers when I was coming up. They called, I told you this before. Girls that used to run the streets, said they were fast. I heard that, and saw that. Now it's not. Now, again, does it sound like I'm justifying what they're doing?
No, nobody's justifying it. We just know what happened.
I just know the facts, right? But people are sensitive to this stuff.
The people that sensitive are the ones that engage in the behavior.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we know what happened when these girls messed around. They got pregnant. And guess who was responsibility? The taxpayers. And you had a lot of young brothers that these females would never looked at while taking care of other men's children. And those are the consequences of these things too, that we don't talk about. If we're going to talk about this, we need to talk about all of the parts of this. Like I said, that video with the young lady, with the teenage girl, I got to be careful how I say this, but how the young girl, teenage girl was in R. Kelly. From what I saw, it like she was very experienced. Granted, she was young. She done this before. Cause Sparkle, whether they said it was a cousin, or aunt, or whatever, she took her to a grown man. And I think a lot of these parents is up here yelling about my daughter. How did they get there? Because if R. Kelly, I want people to use logic. If R. Kelly lived in a high-rise building and he's wealthy, that means they got security, they got a doorman. You just can't walk in there. Even if you say, I'm here to see R. Kelly. Even if somebody say, I'm with them, an adult would say that like a little girl. You know what I mean? And if you go out to his house in the burbs, somebody's driving you from the city to his house. Because public transportation at a certain time cuts off from the city to the burbs.
Harvey, I still can't understand how that judge let that teenager sit in the trial in 2008 and she's accusing R. Kelly. Now, I still can't believe that. I have a hard time in a child pornography case. How does a child get to sit in? And I know what the answer is. Somebody said she had a fake ID or something, or lied about her age.
The parent got up in there. It has to be, because over there, this Cook County, you ain't getting it unless you know somebody, especially something like that. But they showed video of them, all his fans outside, and a lot of us shaking our head, whether you thought he did anything or not. We like, the man is on trial for messing with an underage girl. You got underage girls at the court. First of all, the police should have said, hey, your ass in school somewhere, or go home. But you had mothers and fathers taking her there. And then you got one girl saying, I met him at the jail. Now, but then you're going to mess around with him. Then now you're going to complain. What it is, you see dollar signs. And the funny thing, a lot of them are not going to get paid behind this. Because this record, because even though R. Kelly don't have control over his masters, you think these record companies going to come off that change? Heck no. There's no way. So a lot of them put themselves through all this drama to get paid, and they're not going to get anything.
And another thing too is that we got right now. We got.
I want people to understand something.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
The R. Kelly thing is hitting me different.
That was.
I want people to understand something. Oh, that's the video I did earlier.
Yeah, that's the video you did earlier. I clicked on it. I clicked on it by mistake. And like exactly what you're saying. And then my understanding, and Dennis broke this down too on his IG after the verdict. The jury did not believe, according to TMZ, his report to TMZ, the jury didn't believe Sonia, I believe, who was I think that was the Hispanic woman, white woman he was messing with. They didn't believe part of her story. but because they said they didn't believe part of it, even though they didn't believe part of it, she was entangled with, and I say entanglement in honor of Jada, entangled with. Uh, Sean, did you see the recent article
Yeah,
with
I
Will?
did.
You did? You did?
Yeah.
That's another story. But entangled with the RICO statute and the Mann Act, they went and found R. Kelly guilty for all of counts. So yes, he has a general right to appeal if there are things and errors that, if there were errors that were made by the trial judge, if there were errors that were made uh, during pre-trial or anything of that nature. But his attorneys, of course, they have to preserve the record. Did they object to anything during the trial? Did they object? Remember, it's not the burden of the defendant to prove his innocence. It's the burden of the state to prove the defendant's guilt. And that's something people got to remember. Doesn't matter whether you like R. Kelly personally. Uh, if you think he's a good guy, they have to prove that. So, gentlemen, before we leave, if there are any final thoughts, Harvey, I'll let you go, and then Sean.
I'm sorry, say it again.
If you have anybody have any final thoughts, or if anybody got questions in the chat, because I know Sean's got to run in a little.
Well, I'll let Sean go since he has to run. I can say what after.
All right. Well, I look at this conviction and it's really troubling because it shows me how the court of public opinion is used to sway the court of law. And when I look at R. Kelly, yes, he's not a man who is the greatest as related to character, but even he deserved to have a fair trial. And I don't believe he got a fair trial based on the evidence that was presented and how it was presented. And this whole case, when I look at the way the law was twisted with this Mann Act, this is something people really need to think about because this has very dangerous legal precedent, similar to what the dangerous legal precedent we had with the Cosby conviction, where it showed us that we went from that standard of court of law to trust and believe. And this is a case that basically was as I see it, bringing back that whole trust and belief standard. And that's a very scary standard because somebody can just take an allegation and use it with the court of public opinion to try and convict someone. And this is a very dangerous precedent, especially if you're a heterosexual black man here in America. A simple allegation could possibly destroy your life and have you go into prison like R. Kelly may possibly be going for the rest of your life.
Before you go, Harvey, somebody asked us, did you hear about Elvira's accusing Will Chamberlain of sexual assault? Elvira, the mistress of dark. Yes, I have. And my
Well,
thought,
I know she was doing her book tour last week.
yeah,
I heard in her book tour she finally came out of the closet. So that's just something wrong right there.
this is what I think.
Yeah,
Will
she was on
Chamberlain.
camera.
Will, I'm not trying to. Will Chamberlain is dead. I mean, your truth is the truth. I don't know, but from what she's saying, it was. She didn't say he forced her, but she said a 7-foot guy is asking a 5'2" woman to have sex with him. What is? I'm paraphrasing, but what can I do? I mean, say no string. I don't want to come off like I'm blaming a victim. I want to be careful with my words. Alleged.
But think about what she just said, Galvin. A 5 foot something with a 7 foot. She's basically saying this big black man made me an offer I couldn't refuse. She's a white woman in America.
Yeah.
She's never going to be seen as the damsel. Well, at least in her community, she's going to be seen as damsel in distress. In our community, we know better. Will Chamberlain's been dead going on, 20 years now? And now you bring, Jesus Christ.
I just find it interesting that she's coming out and making this allegation against a dead man almost after 20 years after his death. And your Elvira has been known for being a groupie in the past. I mean, before she became Elvira, there was stories about her with guys like Tom Jones. I mean, I've heard these are long time stories.
Yeah.
So this is something that
rock stars. Yeah. I mean,
she's been a long time groupie.
Yeah, she was all into the sex thing. I mean, her, I remember her movies that she did, although they weren't shit, but They were history. You know, it was the 80s. She was all into that. She pushed. Now, that is not to say any woman deserves to be done wrong, but because that's wrong, you know, period. But that's wrong, period, at any point.
Yeah.
But to bring this up on a dead man
He can't defend himself.
that can't defend himself, that's the problem I have. And I do find it upsetting when they do that.
And they know what they're doing. A dead man can't speak. Just like you can't, even his family wanted to sue. You can't sue because he's dead. You know, and see, that's why I keep saying in my commentaries that we got to be smarter as black males, not men, males. This is why you got to talk to your sons, talk to your nephews or the boy next door. Because when we were coming up, men talked to us. Older men, I remember senior citizens would come in, be standing in front of the store, corner store, even the winos, and we don't even call them winos anymore. They would tell us, hey, don't do what we're doing. Hey, don't do that. Don't say that. Respect that young lady. Don't let them get you caught up. And a lot of us listened, a lot of us didn't listen, because a lot of us didn't have that guidance. But I'm telling you right now, what's going on with R. Kelly and all these other well-known black men, this should scare the hell out of you.
Look, before you leave, Sean, you need to look at this. This is the article that someone brought about Cassandra, saying that Will Chamberlain, about Will Chamberlain. But now when I'm looking at it, look what they have here in the video.
Maybe switch out the word rape for murder, then maybe people would get it.
Now, this is courtesy of USA Today. They got Tarana Burke. They name her, she's one of Women of the Century.
Ugh.
God. All right. I want to ignore it.
But you got to send me that article because I'm going to do a video on that one.
Oh, me too. Got to. You got to send me the link. Look, I know we keep saying it, and we shouldn't have to keep prefacing that we don't believe in this and that. But I'll tell you this: we need more women to come out and talk about this, because there are a lot of women out here who've called out these allegations against R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and many others. The problem is we're letting a small percentage of women who use their sexuality or manipulate the system to be heard. Because we've heard white women come out and say, we don't care if he's innocent or not. We can use that to our advantage. Rose McGowan got there with Tarana Burke and flipped the script talking about black women need to speak up and blah, blah, blah. And what has she been doing the last 2 years? What I predicted, showing her racist ass. So black women need to be, those who have a certain mindset need to be called out for giving them this power to do this. Because I'm telling you, it starts in the white community when they get mad at their white boyfriends and husbands, and somehow it always fall back on us. We they catch all the hell.
Right. And she's saying here, this is Cassandra Peterson. That's Elvira without the makeup. I'm going to do a video on her. But she says here that she was attending a party at his house in the 1970s. He invited her to check out his custom-made closet and alleges that the invitation turned into a traumatizing experience and that Chamberlain first forced her to give him oral sex. Why didn't I try to scream, fight back, or get away? When a 7'1", 300-pound man has his hand wrapped around your neck, there's really not a lot you can do, she writes. Should I have reported him to the police? She writes, are you kidding? What chance do you think a former showgirl, out-of-work actress would have against a sports superstar? Okay.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Because a white female in America, all she has to do is say something, and dude is going to jail, especially in the 70s.
Jaleel said, well, maybe, talking about Tarana Burke, maybe she can fill the century. I call her Clever Girl, Tyrannosaurus Burke. Clever Girl. Remember that, Harvey, in Jurassic Park?
But you know what? She went on a book tour the week before last, and I find it suspicious that they always on Terminal Hall within a 2-week period of time. Toronto, talking about she writing the book, talking about her daughter and everything. And I'm sitting here watching how, like I said, some of our women are giving aid and comfort to women like I'm gonna call her Elvira. I forget her birth name.
Her name is Charlene. Her name is Peterson.
Cassandra Peterson.
Okay.
Peterson.
And people need to remember, Wilt Chamberlain got a lot of women back in the day. So if either he got a bunch of women back in the day, or he forced himself on women. Which story are you going to believe?
Well, he said, remember, he slept with 20,000 women. Now, I think that was a damn lie, because you would be in your life. He died in his 60s. You would be basically having sex while you're brushing your teeth, you're using the bathroom, you're eating a hamburger, you you're getting your clothes tailored, a whole bunch of stuff. But
He probably been with a lot of women, Galvin. But like you say,
I don't think it was 20,000.
Nah, he probably had group sex. I mean, I'm not gonna say this. I hope no young people are listening. But from what I understand, back in the day, in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, they was doing a lot of partying at Club 54, group sex, doing all kinds of drugs and stuff.
Yeah, Studio 54. I mean, look at the story on that. We talk about Bill Cosby with Quaaludes. Those people were talking about how they openly did cocaine and took a Quaalude and then would go have sex. I mean, geez. This is in the 1970s, and yeah, Wilt Chamberlain was a popular guy, but he's still a black man.
Mm-hmm.
And that at the end of the day, and again, Brother Sean, I know you've been here and you got to go, but I appreciate you coming on. I had dropped a link. I saw DJ Tyson was trying to come in. I had sent the link to you earlier, brother. I don't know if you saw it, because he said drop the stream. I had sent it to your email, so you haven't come in yet. But you got a little time. I'll stay on with Harvey for a little bit. But
all right,
Sean, if you got to run, man, I appreciate it.
Well,
again.
I gotta go. So I want to thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for having me here on the air. I hope you and Harvey have continue on with the conversation, but I gotta go. So thank you for having me on tonight's stream.
Have a good one, Sean.
All right, you have a good one too, Harvey.
And guys, please buy Sean's books, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess and John Haynes. Someone had asked me earlier about my book on Bill Cosby, if when I was going to be releasing it. I have no date as of yet, although I can tell you we'll be in the fall. I just have to do some. It's a matter of doing some corrections on it. To write a book takes a lot of discipline. So, and of course, you got to go through a lot of background and stuff like that, especially extensive like this. But yeah, it'll bring it up. Jaleel asks, I wonder how far they'll go with Don Lemon. Yeah, he's being accused of sexual misconduct.
Yeah, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson brought it up the other day by accident on her YouTube channel. And I'm sitting there and look, how can I say this? And this might sound petty, because you never know what the future holds for any of us. But if it does happen, this is Don Lemon karma, because you gave a platform to a bunch of women to help destroy Mr. Cosby's legacy. Okay, I don't understand why some of our brothers and sisters so enamored with telling other people's stories, then when our people are victims, they ignore. Like, I don't understand why black women sit here last week complaining about white blonde women missing, whatever the syndrome, but yet y'all stand with them when it comes down to attacking us. I don't understand that. I mean, look, I don't want anybody to get hurt within the community or outside the community. But we got to use logic when we come to talking about these rape cases or alleged cases of sexual misconduct, because women do lie. I don't know why little girls do lie. And we think that they sugar and spice everything nice. There's some bad people out here. If they figure they can get some money or popularity out of it, they will do it. And they're using the oldest trope in the book, is saying that black men are predators, straight or gay. And I'm gonna tell you something, you gay black dudes out there that was out there joining forces, marching, talking about we stand with our sisters and fighting against the big bad rapists. Well, guess what? They're gonna come after your ass sooner or later. Don't think it won't happen, because there have been gay men have been accused of rape. When they got pregnant by somebody, they didn't want to take care of responsibility. I didn't think Bobby would do this to me. I mean, I didn't think he liked women, but I saw this thing I didn't recognize, and blah, 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 blah. It happens. And I'll be sitting there and be like, wow, It was just a matter of time for they get your ass.
Yeah, and you're right on that. And I will say this too, Harvey. If R. Kelly got railroaded in this thing, and it looks like some of the stuff he made, it looks strongly like he did. If he got, it's kind of karma in a way for things that he was accused of, if you believe in that kind of thing. But at the same time, we go by law, we go by the Constitution. And I think the point we're trying to make is that when we have governments bend laws, bend rules, and change them and not enforce them fully like they're supposed to, we have a problem now because our government is using selective outrage to try and secure convictions.
Mm-hmm.
That's just dangerous.
And the thing is, and this is why I say this monopoly in the media, these corporations need to be broken up, because you get only one or two news sources, maybe three. They all saying the exact thing. Because if this happened 20, 25 years ago, there have been various opinions. Now, you don't even hear those opinions anymore. Because I remember back when the Mike Tyson thing happened, there were women, black women, saying that, yo, this don't sound right. Today, they're not gonna pull that they're not gonna put that woman on there.
Mm-hmm.
You had black men were saying, why would this guy do this if he had this kind of access? And then a lot of us, like I said, when I was in high school, I remember R. Kelly coming in the neighborhood, going, signing CDs and tapes and stuff. And the dude always had a bunch of dudes around him, for security wise. And if you saw a female, it was usually a family member or an assistant or somebody. Now, like I said, we don't know what happened when he was out of our view. But my thing is the delay tactics. I'm gonna wait 20 years to start yelling that this person did something to me. I can't take you serious then.
Right. If it doesn't come up immediately, there's nothing really that can be done about it.
And I feel sorry for some people who've been traumatized in these things, and they felt that it wasn't comfortable enough. But we've had organizations in place for over 40, 50 years that spoke to these things. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I don't know about you. I don't know if you remember in grammar school, you would see those little old movies about stranger danger, even the black and white films. Don't get in the car with this person.
Stuff like that. Yeah. I remember we had television shows. I can remember an episode of Mr. Belvedere.
Yep.
With something like that, and Different Strokes, a couple of
Punky Brewster, Silver Spoons, Webster, Facts of Life.
Yeah.
They would say this especially sit with your parents and talk about it. I remember Nancy Reagan was on Different Strokes, man.
Right. And they dealt with stuff like that. But the thing is that another thing too, Harvey, if we're talking about even and just in general in the Me Too movement, if you're talking about some raucous behavior that occurred, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that a person can't be punished, but we also got to realize that for doing stuff that who you were when you were in your early 20s, you may not be in your 30s. Now, what I mean by that is somebody that makes a pass at someone inappropriately at work, varying, if they slap someone on their behind or anything like that, which, yeah, that's wrong. But if you come up 14, 15 years later and this is somebody, it's different situation. Should that person lose the rest of his life, he or she, should that person be punished for the rest of their life? Should they strip away their livelihood? Should they throw them in jail permanently? Obviously, varying crimes, it depends. Certainly, if you're talking about somebody molesting a kid, somebody raping someone, if it's still within the statute of limitations and they can prove it, fine. But if it can't be proved and there's no evidence to that, we're grasping for straws here. Again, yeah, people can come forward. They may have therapists that they talk to, but you can't do anything from a legal standpoint if you don't say anything immediately. because it's one person's word against the other if there's no evidence to it. I mean, look, when that police officer raped those black women, Holtzclaw, uh, and he got convicted, they didn't wait. Those women didn't wait 30 years. They came out immediately. They had DNA evidence, to my understanding, that he was doing this. They also had his police car was being tracked, so they were able to verify some of the testimony that they were saying, from my understanding. Uh, you know, I
Well,
don't necessarily, we don't necessarily have that.
well, the thing with Hoist Claw is that the media wouldn't even cover the story. Number one, I remember. Now we got criticism of Roland, but Roland was the only one at the time covering it. I think me and maybe was it Torian Rain was talking about the case at first, you know, on our channels. And the thing what got me is that these black women reported these things in media, like you said, but it wasn't taken serious. But a white woman, or even some of these sisters that see dollar signs say, "Oh, I'm gonna wait 20 years to say something. I can't take you serious, even if you were a victim." At some point, you, like you said, you had to tell somebody in your family, or a doctor, a police officer. You had to say something. If you say something within 6 months to a year, I got no problem with that. But when you wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you up to something. Like the other day, the woman came out and said Chris Cuomo. I'm not defending Chris Cuomo because he admitted that he did it. But why would you wait all this time? Why didn't you come out and do the Harvey Me
Why
Too
didn't the
movement?
husband punch the shit out of him? She said
Thank you.
it happened in front of the husband. He didn't say nothing.
That's the thing. I mean, a dude grabbed a handful of your wife's derriere, and no, I'm trying not to curse.
That's like
And
Terry
you
Crews.
looking, and you ain't doing anything. That maybe he might be one of those dudes that might get off on watching his wife be manhandled like that. That could be it too now. Because if that was my wife or girlfriend, I'm like, dude, what the hell is your problem? I would have made a scene. But at the same time, why is she bringing something up now? So you had to question that. You had to question her timing. Like if she was said through the heat of the Me Too movement that Chris Cuomo did this while I was at ABC, but you wait 16 years later, you up to something.
Right. And I'm again Elvira coming up with this stuff, man. I'm not gonna lie, I had a crush on her when I was coming up as a kid, but
I think all of us looked at her at some point in
yeah.
a sexualized manner, you know what I mean? And
Of
because
course,
she sold sex. When she hosted that show on USA with the movies, the breast, the corset.
Yeah.
She sold sex. I mean, all the horror shows were dudes in makeup. I'm gonna come and get you. And I'm a fire mistress of darkness. Yada yada yada. So I mean,
That's what she looks like without the makeup.
She like somebody's grandma.
When she's 71, she's in her 70s.
She's 70 years old.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie, for 70 years old, she doesn't look bad. But
the thing is, now she's claiming that she's a victim. Excuse me. And like I said, I don't want anybody to think that I'm defending rape, because I am not. Because I have no love for rapists or child molesters. And
right.
Yes, there are men who have been raped. We don't even talk about that subject.
No, we don't. And a lot of men actually get raped more. You know, if you look at statistics, you think about the prison, you don't consider this, but you look at the prison population, sexual assault occurs there more than any other place.
And women do it too. Women have blackmailed men at work. They've been their bosses. If you don't do this, I'm gonna have to make you do more hours or to take your hours away. I told y'all of a coworker that excuse me, a white coworker that was racist as hell, but she wanted to be with get with a black man. I was at work. We was at closing. She sent my crew home, part of my crew home. And I'm like, you can go home. You're doing the mid shift. You work from 10 to 8. Go on about your business. We can close up. So I asked one of my employees, because I had it where my employees, we all left out at the same time. And she sent everybody home. And I'm in the office putting numbers in, waiting for everything to print out and everything. so I can leave my report. So if the supervisor come in and the corporate office look at with the sales stuff, she said, Harvey. I'm like, yeah. And I wouldn't look up. She said, Harvey, I got to show you something. I look up. She dropped trout and underwear. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting there like, if I was 17 and didn't know any better, or my father never taught me anything, I would have been a dumb. I'll probably be registered as a sexual predator to this day. I'm being honest with you. Because if you mess with her and she going to have second thoughts, going to go home, I slept with a black man. He touched me. Oh, the horror. And then I got to go to work and try to explain what happened. They're going to like, well, first of all, you had sex in the company store. Number two, we don't know if it's your word against hers. We got to go with her because she's hysterical and blah, blah, blah. And this happens to a lot of men. So when we talk about rape, it ain't just women getting raped or little girls. That's one YouTuber, I won't mention his name, but he's a well-known YouTuber. And I remember when people was like, why this dude is so rough on black women? And he told them when he was a little boy, he was molested by black women. And I said, okay, I get it now. And if people can figure out who it is, I won't say, but if you think about it long enough, some of y'all might know who I'm talking about. And that's why some men act out and don't respect opposite sex, because they've been molested or raped at a young age. Don't think it doesn't happen to little boys or teenagers. Excuse me.
Yeah, it does. I'm waiting for one more guest to come in, and he's just gonna close out, and I'm gonna let him talk his piece right quick if
No
he's
problem.
for him. But yeah, I'm here with Harvey Superboy. Harvey, give everybody your Cash App while we're here.
It's Cash App $HL
I basically put you on the spot.
1974. Okay. Cash App $HL 1974. I ain't even get it today.
You all, if you like what you're hearing today, I want to put the Cash App myself, my Cash App, Gavin Richard Esquire, Google Pay, gavin.jewich1@gmail.com. That's also for the PayPal and Zelle that you can see there if you would like to donate or contribute to the channel. Yeah, and I'm imagining I will likely get people who may feel or get offended by what I say. If you are offended by what you hear on here, then maybe this channel is not for you. Because here we have intelligent discussion. We're not triggered by emotions. We're going by what we know from knowledge. We're going by what we know from facts, and we have a right to our opinion. Now, you want to hear or say that he's pro anti R. Kelly stuff, or not even, this ain't even a pro R. Kelly, anti R. Kelly thing. That's not how I am. I'm pro Constitution. I'm pro fairness. That's what we're about. I'm pro fairness with the stuff that my reporting and so forth. So I try to be fair with my commentary, with my analysis, because I know if I were accused of something, or anybody that gets accused of something, they would not like. If I was accused, I want someone who's reporting to be fair on it and look at the facts and circumstances. Yes, what he's accused of is horrendous. It's terrible, but I'm looking at what this government did. And it's funny, Harvey, too, as the news came out, I was checking out some people, and even the brothers from is it hip hop? I just started listening to the first minute of it, and he says, no, this is not going to be like an R. Kelly thing. He was found guilty. He's going to be in prison for the rest of his life. I heard that, and that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. I don't know if you know the brothers that I'm talking about, but it's like,
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, that they're just saying that, and they're entitled to their opinion. I listen to their stuff, but you got to be careful with your words.
I agree. The thing is, Gavin, what gets me about people like that, they don't think they can ever be the ones that would get accused. Let me tell you something. I'm not perfect. I might say something to somebody in the past, don't recall it, and may have hurt somebody's feelings. You know what I mean? Right. And I pray to God that I have never done anything to offend anybody, but you never know how that registers in people's head. They sit back and say, this man said this to me, did this to me. I know how I'm going to get him. I'm going to say he did something to me. And when you have no proof and you being judged by a court of public opinion, it's scary and it hurts.
Yeah, it was Hip Hop News Uncensored. I didn't want. Yeah, I was listening to the brother speak just for a little bit, and I just turned. I'm like, bro, come on. And y'all have had, they have a right to their opinion, but people who are not lawyers, people that are not trained in the legal field, I'm sure that they have not read or looked at transcripts that people have said they've gotten and found holes in some of these stories. We got on King Bernard, King
How
BJ.
you doing? How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. I gotta ask you a question before I get started. How you been making out down there in New Orleans? I know a lot of things been going on, so I know you've been getting yourself together. Everything going on?
I've been doing fine, man. Thank you for coming on at the last minute. Everything's fine. We got people still trying to come back, but it's slow.
Okay. Yeah, I got a show at 11:30, but
I won't keep.
Quick because I hadn't been on a while. I'm glad you're doing fine. Look like you're back in. I know you good.
I won't keep you on too long, but I did want to ask what your opinion was with this R. Kelly trial. I got on Harvey from Superboy from Your World, so shout out to say hello to Harvey Bernard. Bernard.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, say hello to Harvey.
Kind of like par for the course, I guess. But for every you say there's 100 others that they're not talking about. So did R. Kelly not pay the piper or something like that? Because it's a whole lot of other people we could be throwing out there for some. Because we can pull up there, really exposing a lot of people. So they need to really be careful because somebody's gonna come calling on your door next. I think some of the commentary by some of the people that were trying to talk about him was very, very negligent, though, of what they were trying to say. The industry.
Like we're having some audio issues with Bernard. We'll see if we can get him back. But he said people ought to be careful with regards to that. Yeah, people do have to be careful. I have not with their words, and because anybody, the minute people, like we talk about Bill Cosby, look at what Chris Cuomo did with Bill Cosby, and now he's being accused.
Mm-hmm. I told you, come back on you.
His brother was accused, and now he's being accused. Same thing with Don Lemon.
Mm-hmm.
Donna Lemonade. I don't care for Don Lemon because Don Lemon in the past has made some disparaging remarks and said stupid stuff about black folk, and the only reason why he has that job on CNN was because during those 4 years of Trump, they needed somebody to be the anchor boy to say all of these things on Trump, this, that, because that's what CNN has become. It's actually not the respected news station that it once was.
CNN is Fox Light, in my opinion.
I'm sorry?
It's Fox Light.
Yeah.
I'm be honest with you, because sometimes I watch CNN, because if you watch MSNBC too long, I'm going to say they lean to the left, because nobody really leans to the left. But you try to balance it. And sometimes when I watch CNN, I feel like I'm watching them just criticize black folk left and right, and it's not giving any balance. And Don Lemon staying at CNN, surviving the purge of all the other black talent, is because he came out and said he was gay.
That's right.
It's because he's gay, and it's because he's gay and they're bashing Trump. That's why he was able to stay on. Remember, he was voted worst broadcaster in 2015.
Exactly. I remember when he was here in Chicago. I'm sorry, Gab, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was better. Was he better than Roland? Roland was in Chicago, huh?
You know what? Let me tell you this. I got my issues with Roland, but if I had to sit down and listen to somebody talk, I'd rather listen to Roland than Dunn.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I can't listen to him.
Well, you know what? I listened to both of them because he was in this media market before. See, Roland's problem is he want to be the smartest one. I think he's the smartest one in the room. Don Lemon is an opportunist. And I can't deal with opportunists. I can't deal with you saying you black 1 minute, and then you go out and put on your kick for everybody else the next minute. You see, that's my issue. But then also Roland looking for a pat on the head. So I guess that's probably why people can't. Either one I'd rather not listen to if I had to. Pardon me?
He's a shill for the Democratic Party, but Roland is just, I don't like listening to either of them because they're both two bootlicks. Roland, he got exposed when he had Umar Johnson on his show. He also got further exposed when he had that kid he was interviewing and trying to chastise this kid because he didn't want to get involved in the Voting Rights Act and all of this stuff like that really mattered. This was even if this young man was involved, I know they said with the government or being an agent or whatever, supposedly, the fact that this man didn't even want to praise this kid for having his own school or anything and took time trying to beat him up on his show and really got schooled himself. His own followers were calling him out. And then Roland was talking some stuff the other day about people not supporting immigrants. Are you against against the Haitian immigrants or Mexican? So the guy's a jerk, man. Roland's a jerk. I mean, you saw it because when he was on WGN. I met Roland in person. He was an asshole.
Yeah, I met him. Me and him had some words when he was at WVON. I would call in, and you have to bite your tongue because I would call him. I've been calling him the station a while, but he one of those brothers that went to school, got one of those fraternities, and
he didn't go to HBCU.
Yeah, and I'm sitting like, okay, brother, you went to college. Some of us didn't. That don't mean you know everything. You just been blessed to be in the right spot at the right time. Because you know what it is with Roland, he's always trying to identify what's not identify, what's the word I'm looking for? Audition for a part on MSNBC or ABC. That's what he's doing. It's like every time they don't want him.
Right. They don't want his ass. Because you know why? Remember when he gave those answers to Hillary? The Hillary thing in the 2016 election? Nobody wants your fat ass, your cheating fat ass. Journalism, and that's the journalism is slanted. Swollen Martin is what I call him, or Bolin Martin. He got exposed by Tariq Nasheed. Tariq did him work. Black Authority did him work. Vicky Diller gives him work. So he gets exposed all the time. So, and Bernard, I know you don't like him either.
You know what? Roland Martin came down here to like a alumni basketball game, and I asked the people, y'all ain't dad gonna throw eggs at him? They said, no, he was kind of cool. I said, yeah, Roland Martin, he just tripping. He tried to show up at a lot of events to, make himself look good. But really, to tell you the truth, Roland Martin is like, he auditioning for a job, but hey, man, Roland Martin, remember, look, it go to show you.
You ran him out in the streets, too.
Remember? Well, yeah. Well, they just got out shopping at the border last week, too. But look, Roland Martin didn't do the job. Look, Roland Martin made some comments about the LGBTQ as well one time or something like that. And so did Joy Reid. But Joy Reid got to keep her job on TV. Roland Martin didn't.
But so you know what? Brother, I'm going to tell you something. Actually, Roland Martin didn't say anything about it. They used what happened was it was around Super Bowl. And him and what's the guy that always messed with Meghan Markle, that white dude? He was at CNN. Piers Morgan. It was talking about that underwear joke that the old boy.
It was a Doritos commercial.
Pardon me?
I know what you're talking about. It was a Doritos commercial Beckham did where they licked
underwear. Something he did with underwear or something.
And Roland said, I'll slap you lick my finger, I'll slap the taste out of your mouth or something like that. And they tried to make it look like he was bullying or saying this.
And they went after his wife, but his wife actually had said something months ago, but they used that to get rid of Roland. That's when they was purging all the black faces off CNN. And then Joy Reid, it came out and she actually said something, but she got that nice cushy position in MSNBC, and she got on TV and started crying and started begging. And from that day on, she ain't been nothing but a shield for white supremacy.
Yeah, they're all shills for whether it's Democrat or Republican. Any black person on those networks, for the most part, they shills for the Democratic Party. So I don't trust Roland any more than I trust Don Lemon. You know, Roland thinks he knows it all, and he doesn't. He's been exposed. And Don Lemon, I mean, he literally is Tom. You know who he reminds me of? Harvey. He reminds me of Tom from the Boondocks. He literally looks like
Oh
Tom.
yeah, he do. That's exactly. Except he's into men.
Yeah. Hell, yeah. But yeah, Bernard, we were having computer issues with you, but you said with this R. Kelly thing, you said people need to watch out. If you could just,
yeah, because you're gonna be next. They got some dirt on YouTube. You're gonna be next. Somebody.
Yeah,
I agree. They always got dirt on somebody, or they could manufacture it.
yeah, I certainly think there's a list that they're going after. So,
look at Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they used her. They went out there and celebrated and said she's the next thing coming. And then she got into Mariah Carey. Her career been straight since. But she had the nerve to go after her own people. And then when Joy Reid went after her, white folk used her as a proxy. And now, if you notice, they're not just shaming Nicki Minaj, but I was glancing at Joy Reid. They bring up the NBA players who not getting these shots and stuff.
Yeah, so, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on Don Lemon show tonight.
Kyrie Irving just said they denied the player from the Golden State Warriors. They denied his religious exemption. I don't want to talk so much about the jab guys because you know what they do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're just bringing up the hypocrisy of it all. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on Don Lemon show tonight too. By the way,
I think Kareem going to issues. Cause 1 minute he was pro-black, and now it's like he's on the fence. It's like he goes whichever direction. It's like when these brothers get 70, they start apologizing for white supremacy. Let me tell you something, and this is not to talk about the shot. If you believe in it, fine. If you don't, that's your business. But don't make this into a black person thing where you got white politicians who've pushed this narrative or white celebrities who for years. I mean, are we going to go after Jenny McCarthy? She's been telling people not to get shots for years. We don't blackball her. You know what I mean?
Jim Carrey is anti. Charlie Sheen.
All of them. But you want to make the black community face of this crap.
Hell, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's been speaking out against vaccines. But what you're saying is right. But yeah, the player for the Golden State Warriors that had a religious exemption, I saw he got denied. They denied his religious exemption for it. So it's like there's certainly an open attack on black males, heterosexual black men. And we just got to be mindful because, you know, who I think maybe next. Now, I thought about it. I said Cuba Gooding Jr., but you know what? T.I. and Tiny.
Oh, yeah. But they just threw their case out. And I think T.I. said something. But when they went after husband and wife, they tell you, sisters, they coming after your ass too. But weren't they just in love with T.I. just a few years ago? Right.
That was Andrew Wiggins for the Golden State. But that's another story. But as far as your boy Kareem, I think Kareem has never been the same since they made him Murdoch from Airplane. Roger he's
going way back.
He's not been the same since then. I think he got paid the most money out of the cast because he was the most well known. And if I'm not mistaken, he got like the price of. I think he got like $60,000 or something.
You made me start thinking about Barbara Billingsley when she talking jive. Oh, God.
Just ain't loose blood. She gonna be back on the rebound tonight. My mama didn't raise no dummies. I dug her right. Yeah.
What's up, blood? Oh my God.
But remember, Kareem was coming out against Ice Cube, and Ice Cube called him out.
But see, that's the thing. Just like Jim Brown, like these cats get a certain age. I don't know if it's Alzheimer's, senility, whatever you want to call it. They start, look, I think this is my thing. I don't believe in shaming the Black community. There are a lot of people in our community that have to come to this come Jesus moment on their own. You know what I mean? What they're doing is trying to shift the blame on us. They try to make us the boogeyman. Look, if dude thought the planet was flat at one point, Kyrie Irving. So I don't even know why y'all even trying to argue with the man about getting a shot. He thought the planet was flat. So he has a certain mindset already. Trying to shame him and other NBA players or Black stars. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm having a cough fit. I think they're full of it. We have so many Caucasian celebrities and sports stars who have it. Major League Baseball, a lot of dudes are still getting COVID who play on Major League Baseball. They're not shaming them.
That's right.
But this is how we do it as Black folk. This is why nobody respects us, because we flip-flop. We go whichever which way the wind blows instead of having the position. Excuse me. Like me, if somebody asks me about why you think there's a number of people in our community, I said, first of all, it's a misnomer. There are Black people who have gotten the shot. It may not be the number you wanted, but we've gotten shots more than Caucasians and others. The thing is, you want to shame or shame well-known Black people into being the face of this thing. We didn't cause this pandemic. We didn't do this. We didn't go out here politicizing or weaponizing. This is all from Caucasian side. The people that storm the Capitol and stuff. The people that don't wear a mask. If you're not getting a shot, wear a mask. Practice social distance. If the NBA got a policy saying that you got to get a shot and you don't do it, hey, that's your money. You know, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You stay in your corner of the world. I stay in my corner of the world. That's just me. But having Korean come out on TV and lecturing Black folk or other Black celebrities, white folks don't do that.
Yeah. Because someone asked what happened with Jim Brown. I think it was Jim Brown. Let me just say this still about Jim Brown. Jim Brown has actually put in work and has a track record of doing things in the Black community. And even he has had, he's had his allegations, domestic violence. I know he went to jail even on situations like that, being accused of throwing women over a balcony, stuff like that. But Jim Brown has also had murderers and gangsters in his house and stopped gang violence.
Mm-hmm.
He's done things like that. He may have he has a track record in our community. So I know people were upset or disappointed when he met with Trump and so forth. And I know he criticized when John Lewis made those remarks about Trump. And remember, Jim Brown said, well, he's crying the blues. I actually agreed with, and I don't want to change subjects, but that situation, I got to agree with Jim Brown on that. But John Lewis is a whole nother thing, because many of these congresspersons, while, yeah, John Lewis is, and I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but the dead are dead too. But like we're talking about Congressional Black Caucus, we're talking about these congressional leaders, a lot of them, with the Mann Act, a lot of them get elected and serve years and do virtually little, if nothing. Look at Clyburn. Look at, I saw Maxine Waters. She said this thing going on in Haiti, someone said she compared it to slavery. This thing that's going on at the border. Excuse me? Bernard, maybe you could verify that happened?
Well, I probably didn't listen to her, but I do know Kamala Harris came on The View and said that it reminded them of images from slavery, and that's why it was so bad. Now, let me say something about this, about that thing, because me and a guy looked at this thing, and they did show you
she said
a picture of the guy.
Is worse than slavery. This is what Maxine Waters said.
Well, if she said it was worse than slavery, then that's crazy. But I do know that Kamala Harris said it reminded her of slavery.
It did,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna be. Let me say. I'm gonna say this real quick, and I know I might offend some people. I feel sorry for our Haitian brothers and sisters, but when they come over to the United States, they act like they don't know us. So we might want to. Yeah, you want people to be treated fairly, but when you come here, respect the pecking order of things. You know what I mean? You know, don't come over here and then tell us that we don't know what we're doing, talk down to us, because I want to help our brothers and sisters across the globe. You know, I've donated money and stuff, and what's going on in Haiti is tragic. It's sad. I mean, they can't catch a break over in Haiti. But the thing is that a lot of them come over here and they act like they don't know us.
Right.
So that's something that
that's the problem too. Yeah, these immigrants that come over here, especially, they look down on us. I'm not like what I found, you know, whipping them and stuff and so forth. Of course, that was inhumane. That was horrendous. Those people need to be punished. But we got people. I do say this: we got people in the United States, Harvey. You being a veteran, we have homeless veterans, especially some black homeless veterans that don't get treated fairly. They're not talked about, and we're not doing anything to help them.
Oh, without a doubt. Trust me. You know what, man? I'm gonna tell you. I'm glad you brought that up, Gavin.
And
you
use
know,
range to whip them.
every time I wake up, you know, I sit there and like, oh man, I'm in pain, or I have a flashback or something. Then I think about the brothers and sisters that came over here, came back home like I did, don't have a roof over their head or pot to piss in. You know what I mean? And you know, we keep talking about how much we love our veterans and whatnot, but we really don't. We give lip service. Because when you think about how much money we make or get paid or the benefits, and you look at these men and women who are in the Congress and Senate, and all they do is posture, it's an insult. That's why I tell people, don't be thanking me for my damn service. Give me my fucking money. You know what I mean? Give me my benefits. Then we'll talk. But that's just me.
Yeah. But this is, I want to wrap it up in a little bit, but this is, just so you know, I'm not misquoting anything. This is from the Independent. So this is what Maxine Waters said. And after that, we'll wrap it up with final quotes.
I'm pissed. I'm unhappy. And I'm not just unhappy with the cowboys who were running down Haitians and using their reins to whip them. I'm happy with the administration. We are following the Trump policy. He is the one that does not follow the Constitution and would not allow those seeking refuge to be able to petition to get into the country. What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again,
really
whipping Black people,
really
Haitians, into the water where they're scrambling and falling down when all they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country.
Oh my God. Now, on an R. Kelly note, hold on R. Kelly note, this is when I knew it was some bullshit, because look who's right there in the picture, in the video. Yeah, giving a press conference.
Didn't I tell you she's always around?
Gloria Allred. Oh my God, no!
Guess who she's friends with? Maxine Waters.
Serious federal crimes.
Maxine Waters.
Kelly,
wow.
Who once described himself as a quote genius end quote to one of my clients who testified.
This
is nothing but
a jail.
felon.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna say it.
I don't want to play all of it. I don't even want to play all of it, but let's hear.
Practicing law for 47 years.
Let's hear it first, and then Harvey and Bernard, I'll let y'all speak.
I have pursued many sexual predators who have committed crimes against women and children. Of all the predators that I have pursued, however, Mr. Kelly is the worst for many reasons. First, he used the power of his celebrity to recruit vulnerable underage girls for the purpose of sexually abusing them. These were not May-October relationships, which is what his defense attorney wanted the jury to believe. These were crimes against children and some adults. Second, he used the power of his business enterprise and many of his inner circle employees to assist him and enable him in his plan and his scheme to lure his victims to him, isolate them, intimidate them, control them, indoctrinate them, punish them, shame them, and humiliate them. All of which made Mr. Kelly more powerful and more dangerous than many other sexual predators who operate without a network of financial and businesses to support and enable them. Third, the government proved that Mr. Kelly had genital herpes, that he knew that he had it, but failed to disclose it to his underage victims and adults. And
Now,
that he
let me
Oh,
say
gives
this.
a shit.
Now, let me say this. They allowed that to be the doctor to testify to that. The herpes, giving them what they did with that, from what his lawyers described, Steve Greenberg, when he did that interview with Gayle King, they had to use that in order to get jurisdiction in New York, because under New York law, there's a depraved heart law, which is when you have a STD and you give it to someone knowingly without disclosing it, then you can be prosecuted. Some states have that. That's why Charlie Sheen almost got in trouble, because allegedly he contracted HIV and was going to give it to them. But yeah, but they talked about this in it. Do I need to go further with the video?
Nah.
All right. So this is Maxine Waters' friend, by the way. And she's friends with, and Maxine Waters is friends with Bill Cosby, but she's hanging out with her.
She playing both sides.
Do I have links to the transcripts? I do not have the link to the transcripts. Someone, Brother Tyson, was supposed to send it to me. I sent him an email to join the stream. For whatever reason, I was looking for him. He didn't come in. But
look what they did to former congressman from Michigan. What's his name? The one he died. I can't think of his name right now.
John Conyers.
John Conyers. He was accused of Maxine Waters and them overnight turned their back on him. He fought for our people up until they went after him.
Yeah, he did.
He shortly died behind that. They don't be acknowledged. John Conyers.
He actually was the one. He was actually the one that pushed for reparations.
Exactly. And my thing is go back to Gloria Allred. I keep telling y'all, if a black man is in trouble, she's there. That chick is racist. Her daughter's racist. All these white dudes have been accused of stuff. She doesn't go after them. And I don't know why in the hell that we as a people don't call this shit out. Excuse my French. Every time I see Gloria Allred, my blood pressure go up.
Well, when I saw her, I knew it was some bullshit.
That's what when you showed, I didn't even know. I mean, I knew that the guy, what's the one that was shaking down Nike, the one was going after Donald Trump.
Avenatti.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Michael Avenatti.
Avenatti. And I sat there and I said, Gloria already pushed him to go out there and say something to R. Kelly. Now, remember she said she wasn't a part of this? Remember I told you, I said behind the scenes, Gloria already pulling the strings, and now she pops up all of a sudden. That racist, no good. No, I'm going to shut up. If I say something, I'm going to regret it. I'm just going to stop right where I'm at, because it's going to come across as anti-Semitic, as I said. I don't want to see it.
Why she you not using the same type of vibe for Harvey Weinstein?
Remember, her daughter was trying to take up for Harvey Weinstein, remember?
Yeah.
And the media did not, I repeat, they did not crucify her on that. You talking about Bill, and now Gloria already said R. Kelly's the worst. Then she said Bill Cosby's the worst. Which one? Is it Bill or R. Kelly? Or this is the same shtick that you use with, and why did she bring up him having herpes? Why did she even bring that up in the news conference?
Right. That came up at the trial. They used that, like I was saying earlier, to get him under New York law.
Yeah, I know that part. Well, why would you now? The man's been convicted. Why would you do that? What you're doing is kicking him when he's down, and she's trying to say they're trying to play the stereotype that black men have diseases. He went after young women and blah, blah, blah. As I said to these sisters, ask yourself, why are these white girls? Where are these white girls that are allies when they need them? Why is it they only come out with black celebrities?
Right.
And
Because
for Maxine Waters to say that she's friends, she need to pick a better group of friends. I'm sorry.
well, the minute she compared, well, for her comparing at the border to slavery, it was worse than slavery. That okay.
That wasn't worse than slavery.
Give me a
I
break.
mean, it reminded of slavery, but that wasn't worse than slavery.
It was inhumane and it was racist, but slavery? No.
I'm sorry.
I said slavery, comparing it to slavery? Nah.
Now, let me tell you something. Ripping babies out of a mother's womb, that's cruel. Stomping on babies' head, feeding them to alligators and crocodiles, that's cruel. Breaking up families on auction block when their parents never see their children again. Forcing siblings to have sex with each other to reproduce. That's sick. That's cruel. And let me tell you, and Maxine Waters need to be called out. Y'all went and joined the age community against this hate crime law, but you can't pass the George Floyd thing. You can't John Lewis. You can't do nothing. You can't do anything for us. But now you finna jump over to talk about the Haitian community. What about Black America? That's just me.
Right. Well, here's my thing. I'll let you guys have the last word because we'll wrap it up. But Bernard, I'll start with you. What are your final thoughts on what we've talked about so far?
Well, like I said, once again, mass hypocrisy, but we got to understand some things. This is how they do. And when you just showed me Gloria already knew that, hey, this ain't nothing but a good old-fashioned psyop. Let me say one other thing about that Haitian thing. On the same day where they showed the Haitian thing, the U.S. House had approved a $6.3 billion settlement for Afghanistan refugees into the United States on the same day. And they're trying to get an extra $30 billion. They're actually trying to get an extra $30 billion for subsidies to bring them here as well. I mean, down here in Virginia, we got, I think they say 1,000 of them gonna be permanent residents, and but I think they stationed at basically 3 military bases. So you got to understand, was that thing for Haiti a distraction while they were passing the bill in the House to bring them into the States, or was that really what it was? Just that's all I'm saying.
And why don't you, while I got you on, Bernard, tell everybody where they can follow you, what programs you got coming up next.
Well, King B.J. Johnson.
Right. Bernard, and what else? You have a website?
And, yeah, kingbjmedia.com, kingbjfitness.com. You can give me a Bernard Johnson on Facebook, and $1919 BJ Cash App. Yeah, I'm actually going on about 30 more minutes, but I'm glad that Gavin brought me on because he's still out here busy and doing stuff. And I'm glad that he's recovering from all the disasters in New Orleans. So it's pretty good.
Thank you, brother. And y'all check out King Bernard's channel, King BJ, on YouTube. He's got stuff going on. And yeah, most definitely. Something else I want to say. Bernard also has a fitness website. He didn't mention.
KingBJFitness.com. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, y'all go to that. Support him if you're up there in the Virginia area and get your workout on. Harvey, I'll let you have the last word.
I want to thank you for allowing me to come on to your program tonight. You can follow me at Your World, Your View. My Cash App is Cash App $HL1974. That's Cash App $HL1974. And I also want to just put this out for the brothers and sisters. We have to get the facts. We got to educate ourselves. We have to put ourselves in a position where we can challenge white supremacy, but also the self-hatred that affects our community. Because I'm telling you right now, just watching that last clip that Galvin played of Gloria Allred, I told y'all that this chick was behind the scenes way back when. She used everybody else as a proxy. Now that they got the desired result, now she's about to come out and do her the little rooster thing, like, oh yeah, I knew this and knew that, because she's gonna do the same thing here. And at some point, we got to call out people like Gloria Allred that take advantage of situations in this country. But this country is still a racist country, and until we learn how to control our dollar and know our history, they're going to keep coming at us.
Right. And what I'm going to do, if somebody has the transcripts, I'm going to try and put them in there. I'm going to try and actually upload them on my YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. I'm waiting for Brother Tyson to send that to me. And thank y'all if you thought it was a good show, but please donate to the Cash App if you can, because this channel is not monetized, believe it or not. They took away my monetization because they felt it didn't fit the YouTube partnership program, even after I made 1,000 subscribers. So they congratulated me, and then they kicked me in the balls with it. But I want you, if you can, please donate to the Cash App, Gavin Richard Esquire, or come to Google Pay or PayPal at gavin.grich1@gmail.com. And yeah, we got to educate ourselves about this and know the patterns. But you see, Gloria Allred is at these trials. You know, next, I'm surprised she's not working on Tiny and Toya, Tiny and T.I.
Oh,
right.
She's there somewhere. Trust and believe.
Well, I wonder if she's gonna be there with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, she's there. If it's not her daughter Lisa Bloom or her granddaughter's there.
Remember, she tried to go at Tigger, the rapper, on some BS. I think she went after Chris Brown. I know she went after Michael. She went after OJ. She actually tried to get Michael's kids taken away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. You know, so you guys, again, if you don't like R. Kelly, and I understand that what he's accused of, but looking at it from this standpoint, if you guys don't see that this is a proxy, like Bill Cosby was, we were being used as a proxy. That's the issue. What our government does, bending the laws and so forth, that's the problem. You honestly, I leave with a question for you all. Do you honestly think?
Yep, proxy.
Do you honestly think R. Kelly, just curious, was smart and intelligent enough to run a criminal empire? Do you think that's what he was doing? That's all I want to know. Think about that, because that's what he was part of what he was convicted under. So, having said all that, I appreciate everybody that's here. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm gonna also ask if you could support, check out my website for my Creole blends, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish. Download if you have not, or purchase on Apple and iTunes. Video Soul, that's my latest single. And you can also get this single. Once we've gotten on down, we got to get on up. So thank you, Harvey Superboy. Thank you, King Bernard. And also thank you to Sean James. And everybody that has been in the chat that has made this one hell of a night. We've got over 100 people that were in this, that blessed us tonight. I do see some people don't who answer my question. I believe he's smart enough, but I don't think but he didn't do it. Okay. No, some people said no. I don't know if Kitty Cat is saying hell yeah. If you think he ran a criminal empire, I don't know about that part. But
people need to use logic. If he did that, it'd be in better control of his money. just use logic.
Yeah. All right. Well, Harvey, thank you again. And you all have been listening to channel GBoo2786, Gavin Richard on my backup channel and on Facebook. I appreciate the love. Great content. Please subscribe to this channel. Hit that like, share, and subscribe, and donate to the Cash App if you can. We're going to go ahead and get on up, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents. Join me this was a special edition. I don't know if I'll go live tomorrow, maybe not, but I go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Maybe I'll do a brief live tomorrow, but y'all see you when I see you guys, okay? Peace and good night.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play with style. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Don't hurt yourself, Black Mama. Pop locking. All right, guys, this is it. Good night. No more witty comebacks. I'm tired, actually. I think I'll go eat something and watch Nobody. I like Nobody. That was funny. Especially Christopher Lloyd blowing up people with shotguns. Anyway, what the hell I'm talking about? Let me get out of here. Good night, guys. Hopefully I still have a channel in the morning.